We're going to change the name to level. Now let's add a new navigation node. And inside it, we're going to create a new navigation mesh instance. In the nav mesh, we're going to create a new navigation mesh. And inside the navigation mesh instance, we're going to add a new mesh instance. I'm going to make it into a new plane mesh. And let's scale it up to 50 on the X and 50 on the Z. And let's add a new material, so new special material. And let's change the color to a more visible color, like that. Let's save the scene. So let's create a new folder called scenes and save it inside of that. Now for the new mesh instance, we're going to click on mesh and create trim-mesh static body. And we're going to create a new mesh instance again, and it's going to be a new cube mesh. And again, let's scale it up a little bit, so 3, 3, and 3. Let's duplicate it a couple of times. Like that. And now let's go back to our navigation mesh instance and click on bake nav mesh. Okay, so now we got our navigation mesh ready. So one more thing we need to add to the level is the camera. So let's add a camera node, move it up, rotate it like that. And that looks fine. Okay, so let's save it. And we're going to create a new scene. So again, 3D scene. We're going to change the name to NPC. And we're going to change the type to a new kinematic body. Okay, so for the kinematic body, we're going to add three things. First, we're going to add a new mesh instance. So mesh instance, we're going to create a new mesh and a new sphere mesh. Okay. So now we're going to add a new collision shape. So collision shape, and the shape is going to be a new sphere shape. Let's save it, NPC inside of scenes, and click save. One more thing that we need to add is a timer node. So timer, and we're going to change the wait type to 4, and we're going to click on auto start. Okay, save it. Now we're going to add the code for the NPC. So create a new script. Let's create a new folder for it. So go back to path, new folder. Let's call it scripts. And we're going to save it inside of that. Create, delete everything inside of it. Okay, so instead of writing all of the code, I'm going to just copy and paste all of the variables and all of the functions. I'm going to explain what everything is actually doing. So let's copy and paste the variables. Okay, so onReady variable nav equal get parent dot get parent. This is just going to get the navigation node, this navigation node, and I'm actually calling get parent dot get parent because I'm going to add a new spatial node that it's going to be called NPCs. And inside it, we're going to actually add all of our NPCs. So let's go back, save it, go back. And inside the script, we're going to create a new variable for the path. a new variable for the path node, a variable for the NPC speed, a const for the gravity, the new vertical velocity, and we're going to create a new variable for the target to follow. That's going to be our random point. Okay, so, and we're going to create 3 functions: the ready function, move down function, and move to function. So the ready function is going to just be us calling the randomize function. In the function move down, we're going to write if not is on floor, meaning if the NPC is not on floor, we're just going to add the vertical velocity.y, which is going to equal to gravity multiplied by delta. So it's just going to apply the gravity on the NPC downwards. In the function move to, we're going to give it a parameter of target position, and we're going to make the path equal to nav, meaning the navigation, dot get symbol path, and inside it we're going to give it the global transform dot origin and the navigation dot closest point, and we're going to give it the target position. Okay, so in the physics process function, we're going to call move down, and we're going to give it delta. So if path node is smaller than path.size, we're going to create a variable for the direction, and we're going to give it the path. Inside it, we're going to give it path node, and we're going to subtract it from the global transform dot origin. So if direction dot length is more than 1, we're going to add to the path node 1. Else we're going to use the move and slot function with our direction, and we're going to normalize it. So it's going to be dividing the direction by the length of the direction, and we're going to multiply it by the speed that we want. And then we're going to add the vertical velocity, and we're going to give it the direction of the up vector, so vector3 dot up. Okay, so now we're going to write the function to get the random point for the sphere. So function get random position in sphere. Just 1 second. Okay, so function get random position in sphere. We're going to create 2 variables, x1 and x2, and we're going to get a random range between -1 and 1. We're going to run a while loop. So while x1 multiplied by x1, and we're going to add it to x2 multiplied by x2 is bigger or equal to 1. x1 and x2 is going to equal to a random range between -1 and 1. We're going to create a new variable called random position on unit sphere, and for the vector 3 we're going to give it these parameters. Okay, and then it's going to return a random position on the unit sphere, this variable, and we're going to multiply it by the random range that is going to be between 0 and the radius we're going to give it. Okay, so this function is going to be, we're going to go to our timer, and inside node we're going to go to signals, and on signal timeout we're going to connect it, and we're going to write inside it target to follow equal vector3. For the x we're going to call the get random position in sphere function, and we're going to give it a radius of, let's change it to about 40. Yeah. Okay, so for the x we're going to give it 40, the radius, and for the y we're going to write 0, and for the z we're going to call the function again, and we're going to give it a radius of 40. Okay, so after creating this vector3, we're going to add it to another vector. So for this one we're going to call get parent, and get the global transform of its parent. So if you go back to our level, it's actually going to get the position of the NPC's spatial node. And it's going to add it to the new random position. We're actually adding the global transform .origin of the NPC's node because we needed to create the sphere, the invisible sphere, inside of this position. So if I move this spatial node, it's going to create the sphere on this point. So we're just going to leave it in here. Save the NPC. Next, we're going to call the move2 function, and we're going to give it the target to follow that we just created. And let's try to run it. So save. On the level, we're going to go to our NPCs, and let's add a few NPCs. So one here and here, like that. And let's see that we can see them. Okay, save it. And let's run it. Okay, so as you can see, the NPCs now move to a random position. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more videos like this, please consider subscribing. And please leave a like for the YouTube algorithm. And I'll see you in the next video.